Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video. Before we start, I need to ask you something. Have you ever looked at someone you know, someone you've known for years, and felt like something was wrong? Like they were wearing their face, but someone else was behind the eyes? If you have, you might understand what I'm about to tell you. If you haven't, you will by the end of this story. Hit that like button and subscribe if this one keeps you awake tonight. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And if you're in Alaska, if you've ever worked the pipeline or lived in the bush, you already know what I'm talking about. The Tlingit have a name for them. The rest of us just call them impossible. All right, let's get into it. My name is Ryan Caldwell. I'm 52 years old. In 1994, I was 22, fresh out of a 4-year stint with the Alaska Army National Guard. I'd done my time, learned to survive in conditions that would kill most people. Thought I was ready for anything the world could throw at me. I was wrong. In October 1994, I took a job with Alaska Pipeline Service Company, security contractor for the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System. 800 miles of pipe running from Prudhoe Bay on the Arctic Ocean to Valdez on the south coast. The most important piece of infrastructure in the state, maybe in the country. The pipeline has 12 pump stations along its length. My assignment was Pump Station 7, about 250 miles south of Fairbanks. Remote doesn't begin to describe it. The nearest town was over 60 miles away. The nearest anything was empty wilderness in every direction. During the winter months, which in Alaska means October through April, Pump Station 7 was staffed by a skeleton crew. 8 people responsible for keeping the oil flowing through some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Temperatures that dropped to 50 below zero. Darkness that lasted 20 hours a day. Isolation that could break even the strongest minds. I thought I was prepared. I'd trained in Arctic conditions, done cold weather exercises that pushed me to my limits. I knew how to survive the cold, the dark, the loneliness. What I didn't know how to survive was what lived out there in the wilderness, what the Tlingit people had been warning about for thousands of years. What I learned too late was more than just a legend. The Kushtaka. I arrived at Pump Station 7 on October 15, 1994. A helicopter dropped me at the landing pad along with supplies for the month. The station itself was a collection of industrial buildings surrounded by chain-link fence, topped with razor wire. Massive pipes emerged from the ground, ran through the pump house, and disappeared again into the frozen earth. The outgoing security officer was a guy named Pete Hendricks, 53 years old, 20 years with the pipeline. He looked like hell, gaunt, pale, eyes that darted around like he was expecting something to jump out at him. "You're the replacement?" he asked when I climbed out of the helicopter. "Ryan Caldwell, pleasure to meet you." He didn't shake my hand. Just grabbed his bag and headed for the helicopter, but before he climbed in, he stopped, turned back to look at me. "Watch the others," he said. "Watch them close. And if someone starts acting different, if they're not quite themselves, you get out. You understand? You get out fast." "What are you talking about?" But he was already in the helicopter, already lifting off. Already leaving me alone at a pump station in the middle of nowhere with a warning I didn't understand. I should have listened, should have gotten back on that helicopter and never looked back. But I was 22. I was invincible. I thought Pete Hendricks was just another burnout who'd spent too many winters in isolation. I was so stupid. The station manager was a woman named Diana Chen, 41 years old, 15 years with Alaska. She ran a tight ship, kept everything running smoothly, treated her crew like family. The rest of the team was a mix of engineers, technicians, and support staff. Bill Morrison, the lead pump technician, 55 years old, quiet guy who'd been at Station 7 longer than anyone. His assistant, Kevin Park, 32, Korean-American from Anchorage, always cracking jokes to keep morale up. There was Maria Santos, the electrical engineer, 38, from Juneau, kept mostly to herself but knew the station's systems better than anyone. Tom Bradley, maintenance chief, 45, ex-Navy, built like a tank, afraid of nothing. His assistant, a young guy named Chris Walker, 24, only been with the company 6 months, still learning the ropes. And then there was Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, the station medic, 36 years old. Originally from Nigeria, came to Alaska for medical school and never left. She was the one who would later explain to me what we were really dealing with. What had been living in these mountains since before humans crossed the Bering Strait. 8 people, 1 station, 6 months of winter darkness. What could go wrong? The first 2 weeks were routine. I learned the security protocols, walked the perimeter, monitored the cameras, checked credentials at the gate, which was mostly pointless since nobody ever came to the gate. The only visitors were supply helicopters every few weeks and the occasional wildlife. The wildlife was interesting. Moose wandering past the fence line, caribou in small herds. Once, a grizzly bear that had woken up from hibernation early, confused and angry. Tom Bradley scared it off with a few shots from his rifle. And wolves. Lots of wolves. They came at night mostly. You'd hear them howling in the distance. Sometimes you'd see their eyes reflecting the station lights from just beyond the fence. They never approached, never tried to get in, just watched. They're curious, Diana told me one night when I mentioned the wolves. We're in their territory, they want to know what we're doing here. Should we be worried? She shook her head. Wolves don't attack humans, not unless they're starving or rabid. These ones are just observing. Observing, that word stuck with me, because I was starting to feel observed too, not by wolves, by something else. It started small, little things that didn't quite add up. I'd be walking the perimeter at night and feel eyes on me, not from outside the fence, from inside the station, like someone was watching from one of the windows. I'd turn and look. Nothing there, just dark glass reflecting the security lights. Or I'd be in the mess hall eating dinner with the crew and catch someone staring at me. Bill Morrison, usually. That quiet man with the weathered face. He'd be looking at me with an expression I couldn't read. Then he'd blink and look away like nothing had happened. I told myself it was the isolation, the darkness, the way the Arctic winter plays tricks on your mind. I'd been warned about this during training. Cabin fever, sensory deprivation, the human brain filling in patterns where none exist. But it wasn't my imagination. I know that now. The first real incident happened on November 3rd. I was doing a midnight patrol of the station exterior. Standard route. Check the fence. Check the pump house. Check the storage buildings. Look for anything unusual. The temperature was 32 below zero. My breath froze the moment it left my mouth. Ice crystals formed on my eyelashes. Every step crunched on snow that was packed so hard it was almost like concrete. I was near the north fence when I heard it. A voice calling my name. Ryan. Soft, almost a whisper, coming from the other side of the fence, from the darkness beyond the station lights. I stopped, raised my flashlight, scanned the tree line maybe 50 yards away. Nothing, just snow and pines and the endless black of an Arctic night. Ryan? Clearer this time. A woman's voice, familiar somehow. "Hello?" I called out. "Who's there?" No response. Just the wind. Just the creak of trees. Just my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then I saw movement. A figure emerging from the tree line, walking toward the fence. walking through snow that should have been knee-deep but somehow wasn't slowing them down. The figure got closer, close enough for my flashlight to catch details. It was Maria Santos, the electrical engineer, standing outside the fence in 32 below zero wearing nothing but a t-shirt and jeans. No coat, no gloves, no hat, just standing there looking at me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Maria? What the hell are you doing out there? How did you get outside the fence? She didn't answer, just kept smiling, kept looking at me with eyes that seemed wrong somehow. Too bright, too focused. You should come out here, Ryan, she said. Her voice was Maria's, but not quite, like someone doing an impression. Close, but not perfect. It's beautiful out here. So peaceful. You should come see. Maria, you need to get back inside. You'll freeze to death. I'm not cold, Ryan. I've never felt better. Come out here. Come see what I've found. Something was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. Maria Santos was inside the station when I started my patrol. I'd seen her in the common room reading a book. There was no way she could have gotten outside the fence without me knowing. No way she could be standing in lethal cold without proper clothing. No way she should be inviting me to join her. Stay there, I said. I'm calling for help. I reached for my radio, keyed the mic. Station 7, this is Caldwell. I have a situation at the north fence. Maria Santos is outside the perimeter. She appears confused. Need assistance immediately. When I looked back up, Maria was gone. Not walking away. Not retreating to the tree line. Just gone. Like she'd never been there. I swept my flashlight across the snow. No footprints. No tracks of any kind. Just undisturbed white stretching to the trees. Diana's voice crackled over the radio. Caldwell, repeat your last. Did you say Maria is outside? I thought I saw her at the north fence. She was standing in the snow without a coat, but she's gone now. Caldwell, Maria is right here. She's been in the common room for the past 2 hours. She never left. I felt the cold then. Not from the temperature. From something deeper. Something that had nothing to do with the weather. Copy that, I said. Must have been my imagination. Resuming patrol. But I knew what I'd seen. I knew Maria Santos had been standing outside that fence talking to me, trying to get me to come to her. Except it wasn't Maria Santos, it looked like her. Sounded almost like her. But it wasn't her. Something had worn her face, copied her voice, tried to lure me outside the fence, and I had no idea what. When I got back inside, I went straight to the common room. Maria was there, just like Diana had said, reading her book, looking completely normal. Hey, Ryan, she said when I walked in. Everything okay? You look pale. I'm fine, just cold. But I wasn't fine, because I was looking at Maria Santos, the real Maria Santos, and trying to understand what I'd seen at the fence, who had been wearing her face, what had called my name from the darkness. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bunk, listening to the wind howl outside, thinking about Pete Hendricks. His warning. Watch the others. If someone starts acting different, you get out. Had he seen what I'd seen? Had something worn the face of someone he knew? Had it tried to lure him out into the cold? And the bigger question, was it still out there? Was it still watching? Was it still trying to find a way in? The answer to all of those questions was yes. I just didn't know it yet. The second incident happened 4 days later. I was in the monitoring room watching the security feeds. 20 cameras covering every angle of the station. Most of them showed nothing but snow and buildings and the eternal darkness of the Arctic night. Camera 7 covered the north fence, the same area where I'd seen the thing that looked like Maria. At 0317 hours, something appeared on camera 7. A figure standing at the fence line, looking directly at the camera. I leaned forward, zoomed in, and felt my blood turn to ice. It was me. I was looking at myself standing outside the fence. Same security uniform, same build, same face, but the eyes were wrong, bright in a way that human eyes shouldn't be. And it was smiling. That same smile I'd seen on the fake Maria. Close to human, but not quite right. The figure on the screen raised its hand, waved at the camera, waved at me. Then it opened its mouth and spoke. I couldn't hear the words through the camera, but I could read the lips clearly. "Let me in, Ryan, let me in." I jumped back from the monitor, knocked over my chair. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. When I looked back at the screen, the figure was gone. The north fence was empty, nothing but snow and darkness and the endless Alaska night. I checked the recording, rewound the footage, played it back. There was nothing there. The timestamp showed 0317 hours. The camera showed the north fence, but no figure, no copy of me, no waving hand, no moving lips. Whatever I'd seen, it wasn't on the recording. It had appeared only to me, live, in real time. A message, a taunt, a promise of things to come. I didn't tell anyone about that incident. How could I? What would I say? I saw myself on the security camera, trying to get inside. They'd think I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. But I started watching the others more carefully after that, looking for signs that something was wrong, that someone wasn't who they appeared to be. And that's when I noticed Bill Morrison. Bill had been at Station 7 for almost 20 years, knew the place better than anyone. Quiet guy, like I said, but competent, professional, everyone trusted him. But something had changed. Little things. The way he moved was slightly off, too smooth, too deliberate, like someone who was consciously thinking about how to walk, how to use their hands, how to sit in a chair. And his eyes, they'd always been brown, normal brown. But now, in certain light, they seemed to have a yellowish tint, almost golden, almost animal. I told myself I was being paranoid, that the isolation was getting to me, that I was seeing threats where none existed. Then I saw Bill Morrison standing outside his own quarters at 3 a.m, talking to himself in a language I'd never heard. It wasn't English, wasn't Russian or Japanese or any language I could identify. It was something else, something older, something that made my skin crawl just hearing it. He stopped when he saw me, turned, smiled that wrong smile. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. His voice was normal, friendly, but his eyes were wrong. That golden tint was visible even in the dim hallway light. "Just getting some water," I lied. "You should be careful, Ryan. It's dangerous to wander around at night. You never know what you might find." He walked past me, went into his quarters, closed the door. I stood in that hallway for a long time, trying to understand what I'd just witnessed, trying to figure out if Bill Morrison was still Bill Morrison, or if something had taken his place. I went to see Dr. Sarah Okonkwo the next morning. She was the only person at the station I felt I could trust. Maybe because she was an outsider like me, maybe because she had medical training that might help explain what I was experiencing, or maybe because when I looked into her eyes, they were still normal, still human. I found her in the medical bay, organizing supplies. She looked up when I knocked on the door frame. "Ryan, you look terrible. Everything okay? I need to talk to you about something strange." She set down the box she was holding, gestured to a chair. "Close the door. What's going on?" I told her everything. The figure at the fence wearing Maria's face, The thing on the security camera that looked like me. Bill Morrison, speaking in strange languages. The feeling of being watched. The sense that something was very wrong with this place. Sarah listened without interrupting. Her expression grew more serious with every word. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "You've seen them," she finally said. "The Kushtaka." "The what?" "Kushtaka. It's a Tlingit word. The Tlingit are one of the indigenous peoples of Alaska. They've been here for thousands of years, and they have stories about creatures that live in the wilderness. Creatures that can take human form. Shapeshifters? Like werewolves?" Sarah shook her head. "Different. The Kushtaka are something else. In Tlingit mythology, they're the Land Otter People. Spirits that were once human but were transformed. Now they exist between the human world and the spirit world, and they hunger for what they lost. What did they lose? Their humanity. Their souls. The Kushtaka are empty inside. They look human, sound human, can imitate human behavior perfectly, but there's nothing behind it. No soul, no spirit, just hunger." "Hunger for what?" Sarah looked at me with those serious dark eyes. "For us. For our souls. The Kushtaka don't just kill people, Ryan. They convert them, transform them into more Kushtaka. One touch, one moment of connection, and you start to change. You become one of them." I thought about the figure at the fence. The thing wearing Maria's face, inviting me to come outside, to come closer, to touch. "How do you know about this?" "I've worked pipeline stations for 8 years. I've heard stories, seen things I couldn't explain, and I've talked to the native elders in the villages. They know what's out here. They've always known. They tried to warn the oil companies when they built the pipeline, but nobody listened. White men never listen." She pulled out a drawer, retrieved a small leather pouch, handed it to me. "Wear this. It's a protective charm, urine and dried fish. The Tlingit believe the Kushtaka hate the smell of dogs and the taste of urine. It won't stop them, but it might slow them down." I took the pouch. It smelled exactly as bad as she'd described, but at that point I was willing to try anything. "The others," I said. "Bill Morrison. I think something's wrong with him." Sarah's expression darkened. "I've noticed it too. He's been different for the past few weeks. Before you arrived, little things, the way he eats, the way he laughs, it's like he's performing, imitating behaviors he's observed but doesn't quite understand. Is he one of them? A Kushtaka? I don't know. That's the terrible thing about them. You can never be completely sure. They're almost perfect mimics. The only way to know for certain is to catch them transforming, or to see their true reflection." "Their true reflection?" "The Tlingit say Kushtaka can't control their reflection. In mirrors, in water, they appear as they truly are, not human." I thought about that. About Bill Morrison's quarters. About whether there was a mirror I could use to test him. Then I thought about something else. Why now? Why are they here? Sarah sighed. "I don't think they just arrived. I think they've always been here. This area, the land around Station 7, it's sacred to the Tlingit. Not sacred in a good way. Sacred in a dangerous way. The elders call it a thin place, a location where the barrier between our world and theirs is weak. And we built a pipeline through it, and stationed 8 people here for 6 months every winter. 8 isolated souls, cut off from the rest of humanity, surrounded by darkness and cold. To the Kushtaka, we must look like a buffet. A buffet, 8 people waiting to be converted, to be transformed into more of them. What do we do? How do we fight them? We can't, not really. The Kushtaka are spirits. Physical weapons don't work on them. The only defense is awareness, knowing what they are. not being fooled by their disguises, and most importantly, never going outside alone, never letting them isolate you. What happens if they isolate you? Sarah didn't answer. She didn't have to. I already knew. Over the next 2 weeks, things got worse. Kevin Park, the assistant pump technician, the guy who was always cracking jokes, he stopped joking. Stopped talking almost entirely. He'd sit in the mess hall staring at nothing, moving his fork to his mouth mechanically, chewing without tasting. His eyes developed that same golden tint I'd seen in Bill Morrison's. Chris Walker, the young maintenance assistant, started sleepwalking. We'd find him at night, standing at windows, looking out at the darkness. When we woke him up, he never remembered how he'd gotten there. But he'd talk about dreams, beautiful dreams about the forest, about voices calling him, about how peaceful it would be to just walk outside and let the cold take him. Tom Bradley noticed the changes, too. He pulled me aside one day after finding Chris at a window for the 3rd time. "Something's wrong here," he said. His Navy training was showing. That tactical assessment of threat. "The men are changing. I don't know how to explain it, but they're not the same people they were a month ago." "I know. I've seen it too. What do we do?" "Stay alert. Stay together. Don't let anyone isolate you. And whatever you do, don't go outside alone." Tom nodded. He was a soldier, like me. He understood threat assessment even if he didn't understand the nature of the threat. But Diana Chen, the station manager, she wasn't a soldier. She was an administrator, and when I tried to tell her what was happening, she dismissed it. "Cabin fever," she said. "It happens every winter. People get stir-crazy, start seeing things that aren't there. The best treatment is to keep busy, keep routines, push through until spring. Diana, this isn't cabin fever. Something is out there. Something is affecting the crew. Ryan, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've seen every kind of psychological breakdown that isolation can cause. What you're describing is textbook winter syndrome. It'll pass." I couldn't convince her. She was so certain, so confident in her rational explanations, that she refused to see what was happening right in front of her. That confidence would cost her everything. The first disappearance happened on November 24th. Maria Santos, the real Maria Santos, went to check on an external sensor array that had stopped transmitting. Routine maintenance. She'd done it dozens of times. She suited up, went outside, walked the 200 yards to the sensor station. She never came back. We found her parka halfway between the station and the sensor array, just lying in the snow like she'd taken it off and kept walking. No footprints leading away, no signs of struggle, just the parka and the endless white. We searched for 6 hours. Tom, me, Diana, and Kevin, though Kevin was barely functional at that point. We called her name until our voices gave out. We swept the perimeter with thermal imaging. Nothing. Maria Santos was gone. Vanished into the Alaska wilderness in the middle of winter. Diana called it into headquarters. They sent a helicopter with a search team. They searched for 3 more days. Found nothing. No body, no tracks, no evidence of what had happened. The official report said Maria Santos had become disoriented during a routine maintenance check and wandered off into the wilderness. Death by exposure. Body not recovered due to environmental conditions. I knew that wasn't what happened. Sarah knew it too. And I think, deep down, Diana knew as well. But what could she write in the report? That shape-shifting spirits had taken one of her crew, that something inhuman was stalking the pipeline. They'd think she was insane. They'd shut down the station. Maybe that would have been better. But Diana was a professional. She kept the station running, kept everyone at their jobs, kept pretending everything was normal. But nothing was normal anymore. After Maria disappeared, I started testing people. The mirror trick that Sarah had mentioned. I found excuses to get people near reflective surfaces. The bathroom mirror. The windows at night when they acted like mirrors. The polished metal of equipment panels. Most people reflected normally. Diana, Tom, Sarah herself, but Bill Morrison didn't. I caught him in the bathroom one morning. Walked in like I needed to use the facilities. Glanced at the mirror as I passed. Bill was standing at the sink, washing his hands. His reflection was there. Same clothes, same posture, same position. But the face was wrong. The reflection didn't have Bill Morrison's face. It had something else, something with a long snout, pointed ears, fur where skin should be, yellow eyes that glowed even in the reflection. An otter. The reflection showed a humanoid otter standing upright, wearing Bill's clothes, mimicking Bill's movements. Land Otter Man. Kushtaka. I must have made a sound, because Bill turned to look at me, and for just a second his eyes flashed that golden yellow. Not the subtle tint I'd seen before, full-on animal eyes, bright and predatory. Then he smiled. That wrong smile. "Morning, Ryan. Everything okay?" "Fine," I managed. "Just fine." I left the bathroom as calmly as I could, went straight to Sarah's medical bay, told her what I'd seen. "Bill Morrison is one of them," I said. The reflection confirmed it. "How long has he been converted?" Sarah was pale. "I don't know. He's been here for 20 years. It could have happened any time, or he could have been one of them from the beginning, replaced the real Bill Morrison years ago and nobody ever noticed." "How many others?" "I don't know that either. That's what makes them so dangerous. They're patient. They infiltrate. Replace people one by one. By the time you realize what's happening, you might already be outnumbered." Outnumbered. In a station with 8 people. If even 2 of them were Kushtaka, we were in serious trouble. "Kevin Park," I said. "He's been acting strange too. The golden eyes, the mechanical behavior. I've noticed he's either converted or in the process of conversion. Once it starts, it can't be stopped. Not by anything we can do here. So what do? We can't just wait for them to pick us off one by one." Sarah thought about it. "We need to get word out. Get the rest of the crew evacuated. If we can get people away from this place, away from their influence, the ones who haven't been fully converted might have a chance. And the ones who have been converted?" Sarah didn't answer. She didn't need to. We decided to act that night. Sarah would feign a medical emergency. Request an immediate evacuation helicopter. Get Diana, Tom, and Chris out. Leave me to hold the station until a full team could be sent. It was a desperate plan. But we were desperate. We never got the chance to execute it. At 2200 hours, the power went out. Not a flicker. Not a brownout. Complete blackout. The station, which was designed to never lose power, which had backup generators and redundant systems, went completely dark. Emergency lighting kicked in after a few seconds. Red glow filling the corridors. But the main systems were down. Communications, heating, external cameras. We were blind and isolated, and in the darkness I heard them moving. Footsteps in the corridors, too many footsteps. More than the 5 remaining crew members could account for. Doors opening and closing. Voices whispering in that strange language I'd heard Bill Morrison using. They were inside, however many there were. They were inside the station with us. Tom's voice came over the emergency radio channel. "All personnel, rally at the mess hall. Repeat, all personnel to the mess hall. We need to account for everyone." I made my way through the red-lit corridors. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound made me jump. I kept my hand on my sidearm, knowing it probably wouldn't do any good against spirits, but needing to feel the weight of it anyway. I reached the mess hall. Tom was there. Diana, Sarah. Chris Walker was there too, standing in the corner, smiling that wrong smile. His eyes fully golden now, no trace of the human color they'd once been. "Chris," Diana said, "thank God. We need to figure out what happened to the power." "I know what happened," Chris said. His voice was different, layered, like multiple people speaking at once. "We happened." He started walking toward Diana. That wrong walk, too smooth, too deliberate. Tom stepped between them, the big ex-Navy man, afraid of nothing. "Chris, stop. Whatever's going on, we can figure it out." Chris stopped, looked at Tom with those golden eyes, and laughed. The sound wasn't human. It was the howl of something animal, something ancient, something hungry. And it was coming from a face I'd known for months, a face that had smiled and joked and seemed completely normal. The conversion was complete. Chris Walker was gone. The Kushtaka wearing his skin was all that remained, and we were trapped with it. In the darkness, with the power out and no way to call for help, we ran. There was nothing else to do. Chris Walker, or the thing wearing Chris Walker's body, was advancing toward us with those golden eyes and that terrible smile. And somewhere in the station, Bill Morrison and Kevin Park were loose. Maybe others we didn't know about. Tom grabbed Diana and pulled her toward the door. I grabbed Sarah. We ran down the red-lit corridor, the emergency lights casting everything in the color of blood. "Where do we go?" Diana was asking. "What's happening? What's wrong with Chris?" "He's not Chris anymore," Sarah said. "We need to find somewhere defensible, somewhere we can hold until help arrives." "Help isn't coming," I said. "Communications are down. Nobody knows anything is wrong. Then we survive until morning. The helicopter arrives with supplies in 6 hours. We just need to last until dawn." 6 hours. It sounded like an eternity. We made it to the security office, steel door, no windows. A small room with monitors that were useless now, but it was defensible. We piled inside. Tom barricaded the door with a filing cabinet. 4 of us. Diana, Tom, Sarah, and me. Against God knows how many of them. "Someone tell me what's happening," Diana demanded. Her voice was shaking. The confident station manager was gone. In her place was a terrified woman who'd just seen something that broke her understanding of reality. Sarah explained. The Kushtaka, the shapeshifters, the converts. Everything she'd told me, she told Diana now. The station manager listened with growing horror. "That's impossible," she said when Sarah finished. "Shapeshifters, spirits, this isn't possible." "You saw Chris," I said. "You saw his eyes. You heard what he said. Is that possible?" Diana didn't have an answer for that. Tom was at the door, listening. Multiple contacts in the hallway, at least 3, maybe more. They're not trying to get in, just waiting. "They're patient," Sarah said. "They can wait for days, weeks. They don't experience time the way we do. We don't have weeks. We don't even have hours if the heating stays off. Temperature's already dropping." She was right. Without power, without heating, the station would reach lethal temperatures in a matter of hours. The cold would kill us before the Kushtaka ever got the chance. "We need to restore power," Tom said. "The generator room is at the other end of the station. If we can get there, restart the systems, we have a chance." "They'll be waiting for us," I said. "The moment we open that door, they'll be on us. So we fight. I've got my sidearm, 14 rounds. Ryan, you're armed too. We cover Diana and Sarah, get to the generator, get the power back on." "Bullets won't work on them," Sarah said. "They're spirits. Physical weapons can't hurt them. Then we improvise. You said they hate the smell of dogs and the taste of urine. What else?" There has to be something that can slow them down. Sarah thought. Fire. The Tlingit use fire in their ceremonies to drive away evil spirits. Bright light in general makes them uncomfortable. And copper. For some reason, the Kushtaka can't tolerate copper. Copper, Tom said. There's copper piping in the maintenance room. We could make weapons, stakes or something. The maintenance room is between here and the generator room. We'd have to pass through hostile territory to get there. Then that's what we do. We move fast, we stay together, and we pray we're fast enough. It was a terrible plan, but it was the only plan we had. We prepared as best we could. Tom and I checked our weapons. Sarah distributed the last of her protective charms. Diana found a flashlight with a halogen bulb, bright enough to maybe slow them down. Then we opened the door. The corridor was empty. Red emergency lights casting long shadows. No sign of the converted crew members. "Move," Tom whispered. "Stay close." We moved, Tom on point, me at the rear, Diana and Sarah in the middle. Down the corridor towards the maintenance room. Every doorway a potential ambush. Every shadow a possible enemy. We'd gone maybe 50 yards when we heard them. Voices, calling our names, coming from everywhere at once. "Diana," it was Maria Santos's voice. The woman who'd disappeared. "Diana, help me. I'm lost. I'm so cold." Diana stopped. Her face went white. "Maria? Oh God, Maria, where are you?" "Don't listen," Sarah said. "It's not her. It's them using her voice. Keep moving." "Ryan," my mother's voice now. My mother who'd died 3 years ago. "Ryan, sweetheart, I miss you. Come to me. Let me hold you again." I felt the pull, the desperate desire to follow that voice, to believe that somehow, impossibly, my mother was here, that I could see her again. But I'd heard Maria's voice at the fence. I knew what these things could do, what they could imitate. "It's not real," I said. "None of it's real. Keep moving." We kept moving. The voices followed us, calling, pleading, promising. Every person we'd ever loved, every voice we'd ever trusted, echoing through the corridors. And then they came. Chris Walker stepped out of a doorway ahead of us. Bill Morrison emerged from behind us. Kevin Park appeared from a side corridor. 3 figures blocking our path, boxing us in. They didn't look human anymore, not completely. Their features were shifting, elongating, snouts pushing out where noses should be, ears rising to points, fur sprouting through skin like grass through snow. They were showing us their true forms. The Land Otter People, the Kushtaka. "There's nowhere to go," Bill Morrison said. His voice was layered now, like Chris's had been. Multiple tones at once. "You can't escape. No one ever escapes." "We've been here so long," Kevin Park added. "Watching, waiting, taking you one by one. Maria was delicious, so full of life, so much fear. And now it's your turn," Chris finished. "You can fight, it won't matter. You can run, there's nowhere to go. In the end, you'll join us, everyone joins us." They started advancing. From both directions, closing in like wolves around prey. Tom raised his pistol, fired at Bill Morrison. 3 shots, center mass, the bullets hit, passed through, left no wounds. Bill Morrison didn't even flinch. "I told you," he said. "Weapons can't hurt us. Nothing can hurt us. We're beyond your world now, beyond your rules." We were going to die. All of us. Right there in that red-lit corridor, converted into more of them, our souls consumed, our bodies worn like masks. Then Diana did something unexpected. She raised her flashlight, the halogen bulb, bright as a small sun, pointed it directly at Bill Morrison's face. The effect was immediate. He screamed, a sound no human throat could make, high and piercing and full of rage. His features blurred, shifted, retreated from the light. "The light!" Sarah shouted. "Use the light! They can't stand bright light!" We ran, Tom and I firing behind us while Diana swept the flashlight ahead, clearing a path. The Kushtaka recoiled from the beam like vampires from sunlight. It wasn't hurting them, but it was slowing them down, giving us seconds we desperately needed. We made it to the maintenance room, burst through the door, slammed it behind us. "The copper!" Tom was already moving, grabbing tools, finding the copper piping stacked against the wall. "Cut it, make weapons, anything we can hold." We worked frantically, Sarah and I cutting pipe sections while Tom held the door. Diana swept her flashlight across every shadow, making sure nothing had followed us in. I cut a section of copper pipe about 2 feet long, wrapped one end with tape for a grip. A crude weapon, but it was something. "Now what?" Diana asked. "We're still trapped. The generator is on the other side of the station. We'll never make it." "There's another way," Sarah said. She was looking at a floor panel, a maintenance access. "These tunnels run under the entire station. They're how the pipes are serviced. If we can get through them, we can reach the generator room without going through the main corridors. The tunnels will be dark, cramped, perfect for an ambush. Less perfect than the corridors where they know we're coming. It's our best chance." Tom looked at the access panel, then at the door, which was starting to buckle as something slammed against it from the other side. "Do it. Open the access. We go underground." Sarah pulled the panel open. A dark shaft dropped down into blackness. A ladder led down into the tunnels beneath the station. "I'll go first," I said. "I've got the most combat experience in confined spaces." I climbed down. The tunnel at the bottom was maybe 4 feet high, 3 feet wide. Pipes running along the walls. Almost no light except what filtered down from the access shaft. "Clear," I called up. "Come down. Stay low. Stay quiet." They came down one by one. Sarah, Diana, Tom last, pulling the access panel closed behind him. We were in the tunnels now, beneath the station, crawling through darkness toward the generator room. And somewhere ahead, or behind, or all around us, the Kushtaka were waiting. The crawl through the tunnels took an eternity. We moved in single file, me in front with my copper pipe and flashlight, Sarah behind me with her medical kit, Diana next with her halogen light, Tom bringing up the rear with his pistol, useless against spirits but comforting anyway. The tunnels were freezing. Without power, without heating, the cold had penetrated even here. Our breath came out in visible clouds. Frost was forming on the pipes around us. But we kept moving, yard by yard, junction by junction, following Sarah's directions as she guided us toward the generator room. "How much farther?" Diana whispered. Her voice was tight. Claustrophobia, maybe, or just terror. "2 more junctions, maybe 100 yards. 100 yards. It sounded like 100 miles. We reached the first junction, a 4-way intersection where maintenance tunnels crossed. I stopped, listened, silence. Just the creak of pipes, the distant howl of wind above. "Clear. Keep moving." We moved through the junction. 10 more yards. 20. Then I heard it. Scrabbling. Claws on metal. Something moving through the tunnels behind us. "They're in the tunnels," Tom said. "Go. Go." We abandoned stealth, crawled as fast as we could. The scrabbling got louder, closer. Whatever was behind us was moving faster than we could. The second junction appeared ahead, almost there, almost to the generator room. I reached the junction, turned left toward the final stretch, and came face to face with something that wasn't human anymore. It might have been Kevin Park once, hard to tell now. The transformation was nearly complete. More otter than man, fur covering everything. Snout full of teeth. Those golden eyes burning with hunger. It lunged at me. I swung the copper pipe. The pipe connected with its face, and this time there was an effect. The creature screamed, not like before when Tom's bullets did nothing. This was pain. Real pain. Copper hurt them. Sarah was right. I swung again. The creature recoiled, scrambled backward into the darkness, hissing, spitting. "Copper works!" I shouted. "The copper hurts them!" Behind me, I heard more scrabbling, more hissing, but also Tom yelling, Diana's flashlight blazing, sounds of struggle. "Keep going!" Tom's voice. "Get to the generator! We're right behind you!" I kept going, Sarah at my heels, through the final stretch of tunnel, to the access ladder leading up to the generator room. I climbed, pushed open the hatch, pulled myself up into the room, turned to help Sarah. Diana came next, face bloody from a scratch she'd gotten somewhere. Tom didn't come. I looked down the shaft. The tunnel below was dark. I couldn't see anything. "Tom! Tom!" No response. Just the distant sound of scrabbling. And then, floating up from the darkness, Tom's voice, except it wasn't Tom's voice. It was too smooth, too calm, that layered quality that meant something else was speaking. "He's ours now," the voice said, "just like the others, just like you will be, soon, very soon." I slammed the hatch shut, threw the locking mechanism, stood there breathing hard, trying to process what had just happened. Tom was gone. Converted or killed, it didn't matter. 3 of us now. 3 humans against God knows how many of them. And we still had to restart the generator. The generator room was cold, colder than anywhere else I'd been that night. The massive diesel generator sat silent and dark. Emergency lighting cast red shadows across equipment that should have been running, keeping us alive. Diana moved to the control panel. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "I can restart the system. The generators weren't damaged. Something just triggered a shutdown. Probably deliberate. They sabotaged the power? They're smart. They know we need heat, light, communications. Take those away and we're helpless." She started working the controls. I stood guard at the main door. Sarah watched the tunnel access hatch, copper pipe in hand. The scratching sounds from below had stopped, but that didn't mean anything. They were still there, waiting. "How long?" I asked. 2 minutes, maybe 3. The system has to cycle through startup procedures. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, an eternity when you're waiting for monsters to break through the door. 1 minute passed. The generators made no sound. Diana kept working, flipping switches, adjusting controls. "Come on," she muttered. "Come on, come on." 90 seconds. The hatch behind Sarah started to rattle. Something was trying to push through from below. "They're coming up," Sarah said. Her voice was calm, too calm. The calm of someone who'd accepted they might not survive. "Hold them. Just hold them." The hatch rattled harder, metal groaning. Whatever was below was strong. The lock wouldn't hold forever. 2 minutes. Diana pulled a lever. The generators coughed, sputtered, died. "No, no, no, no." She tried again. Another cough, another sputter, nothing. The hatch lock started to bend. "Diana, we need that power now." "I'm trying. Something's wrong with the fuel line. It's not feeding properly." The fuel line. Sabotaged like everything else. They'd thought of everything, planned for everything. Trapped us here with no power, No heat, no way to call for help. Then Sarah did something that saved our lives. She pulled the protective charm from around her neck. The leather pouch with the urine and dried fish. The thing that smelled so bad, I'd almost thrown it away a dozen times. She opened the pouch, dumped the contents directly onto the tunnel hatch. The effect was immediate. The rattling stopped. The thing below made a sound like a dog being kicked. Then I heard it retreating, scrambling away from the smell. "That won't hold them long," Sarah said. "A few minutes at most." But a few minutes was all we needed. I ran to the generator, found the fuel line Diana had mentioned, traced it back to the source, found where something had crimped the line, bent the metal just enough to restrict flow. I grabbed a wrench, straightened the crimp. Fuel started flowing. "Try it now." Diana pulled the lever. The generator coughed, sputtered, and roared to life. Lights came on throughout the station, the emergency red replaced by normal white. The heating system kicked in with a loud hum, and on Diana's console, communication systems started blinking active. "We've got power," Diana said. "We've got communications." She grabbed the radio, started transmitting. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Pump Station 7. We have a security emergency. Request immediate evacuation. Repeat, immediate evacuation." Static, then a voice, human, real, normal. "Station 7, this is Fairbanks Dispatch. Copy your Mayday. What is the nature of your emergency?" Diana looked at me. What could she say? Monsters? Shapeshifters? Possessed crew members? "Multiple personnel casualties," she said. "Medical emergency. Hostile wildlife in the area. We need emergency evacuation at first light." "Copy. Station 7. Helicopter is en route. ETA approximately 4 hours. Can you hold until then?" 4 hours. Dawn was in 4 hours. If we could survive until then, if we could hold out until the helicopter arrived, we might actually make it. "We'll hold," Diana said. "Station 7 out." She set down the radio, looked at Sarah and me. 4 hours. We have power. We have light. We just need to survive 4 more hours. It sounded simple when she said it like that. It wasn't. The Kushtaka didn't give up just because we had the lights back on. They adapted, changed tactics. Instead of trying to break in, they tried to lure us out. The voices started again, coming from everywhere, through the walls, through the ventilation system, calling our names, promising relief, offering peace. Tom's voice. "Ryan, I'm hurt. They left me in the tunnels. Please, you have to come help me." Maria's voice. "Diana, I'm so cold. I've been outside for so long. Please, let me in. Just let me in." My mother's voice again. "Ryan, sweetheart, I've missed you so much. Come outside. Come see me. It's so beautiful out here." We blocked our ears, hummed, sang, did anything to drown out the voices, but they kept coming, hour after hour, wearing us down. And sometimes the voices would stop, and we'd hear scratching at the doors, at the windows, at the walls, testing, probing, looking for weakness. At one point, around 400, something slammed against the generator room door hard enough to dent the metal. Then again, and again. The hinges started to groan. Diana grabbed her flashlight, pointed it at the door. "If they get through, we use the light. We use the copper. We fight until the helicopter gets here. And if that's not enough?" She looked at me with them, eyes that had seen too much that night. "Then at least we die human." The pounding stopped. The door held. But we knew they were still out there, still waiting. At 0530, the radio crackled. "Station 7, this is Rescue 1. We're 20 minutes out. Confirm your position and status." "Rescue 1, we're in the generator room. 3 survivors. Multiple hostiles in the facility. Recommend armed approach." "Copy, Station 7. We have security personnel on board. Hold your position. Help is coming." 20 minutes, we just had to survive 20 more minutes. That's when they made their final push. Every door in the station started opening at once. We could hear them on the intercom system, which they'd somehow accessed. Doors unlocking, hatches cycling. Every barrier we'd put up suddenly gone, and then we heard them coming. Not hiding anymore, not trying to lure us out, just coming. Dozens of footsteps, that scrabbling, scraping sound of claws on metal, getting closer. "They're rushing us," Sarah said. "All of them at once." I looked around the generator room. One door, no windows, no other exit. We were trapped. But we weren't defenseless. "The lights," I said. Sa said, "All the lights. Diana, can you boost power to the overhead lights?" "I can overload them. Push more power than they're designed to take. They'll burn bright for a few seconds before the bulbs blow." "Do it. When they come through that door, hit them with everything we've got." Diana started working the controls. Sarah and I positioned ourselves on either side of the door. Copper pipes ready. Whatever was coming through, we'd meet it with fire and light and the only weapon we had that could hurt them. The footsteps reached the door. Stopped. Silence. Then a voice. Bill Morrison's voice, but layered, ancient. "You fought well, better than most. But it doesn't matter. In the end, everyone joins us. Everyone becomes part of the family." "Go to hell," I said, that horrible laugh again. "Hell is where we came from, and it's where we're taking you." The door exploded inward. Diana hit the override. Every light in the room blazed white-hot. Brighter than daylight. Brighter than anything I'd ever seen. The things that came through the door screamed. Half a dozen of them at least. Bill Morrison, Kevin Park, Chris Walker, Tom Bradley. Others I didn't recognize. Maybe people who'd been converted years ago. Maybe things that had never been human at all. They recoiled from the light. Covered their eyes. Their forms shifted and blurred, losing cohesion. "Now!" I swung my copper pipe at the nearest one. Hit it across the face. It screamed and fell. Sarah was beside me, swinging her own weapon. Connecting. Hurting them. Diana grabbed a length of copper pipe from our supplies. Joined the fight. The lights were already flickering. The bulbs weren't designed for this. We had seconds before they blew. I hit anything that moved. Screamed defiance at things that had been hunting humans since before Alaska was Alaska. Fought with everything I had left. The lights blew. Darkness. But in that darkness I heard something beautiful. Helicopter rotors. Getting closer. Getting louder. "Outside!" Diana shouted. "We need to get outside!" We ran. Through the door, past the writhing forms of the wounded Kushtaka, down the corridor toward the main entrance. Behind us, those that could still move started to pursue. We burst out into the pre-dawn darkness. The cold hit us like a wall. 50 below zero. We'd die of exposure in minutes without proper gear, but the helicopter was there. Touching down in the center of the compound, doors opening, men with rifles pouring out. "Over here!" I screamed. "We're over here!" They saw us. Started running toward us. Behind us, something came out of the station. Something that didn't care about the cold. Something that was almost on us. I turned. Saw Bill Morrison's twisted form lunging toward Diana. I swung the copper pipe one last time. Connected with his skull. He went down. Then hands were grabbing me. Human hands. Pulling me toward the helicopter. Sarah and Diana beside me. Someone shouting, "Go, go, go!" The helicopter lifted off. Rose into the lightning sky. Below us, I saw the station. saw the shapes gathered outside it, a dozen at least, watching us escape. And as we climbed higher, as dawn finally broke over the Alaska wilderness, I saw something else. The shapes were waving, not in anger, not in frustration, in farewell. Like they knew this wasn't over. Like they knew we'd be back, or others would. The pipeline would keep running, people would keep staffing the stations, and the Kushtaka would keep waiting. They had infinite patience. We'd escaped this time, but there would be other times, other victims, other souls to collect. The nightmare wasn't ending, it was just beginning for someone else. That was 30 years ago. I've spent those 30 years trying to forget, trying to convince myself it wasn't real, that it was a hallucination, a mass psychosis brought on by isolation and cold. But I know what I saw. I know what happened to Bill Morrison and Kevin Park and Chris Walker and Tom Bradley. I know what took Maria Santos and who knows how many others over the years. The Kushtaka are real. They've been in Alaska since before humans crossed into the Americas. And they're still there, still hunting, still converting, still wearing the faces of people who used to be human. Diana Chen left the pipeline after that night. Last I heard, she was running a small business in California, as far from Alaska as she could get. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo went back to Nigeria, said she'd had enough of American monsters, said at least the spirits in her homeland were familiar. And me, I tried to go back to normal life, tried to pretend that what happened at Pump Station 7 was just a bad dream. But I still hear the voices sometimes, at night, in the dark, calling my name, inviting me to come back, to finally join them. I still see the faces, Bill Morrison smiling that wrong smile, Chris Walker with golden eyes, Tom Bradley, the man who was afraid of nothing, becoming something that wasn't him anymore. And I still check mirrors, every morning, every night, making sure my reflection is still me, making sure I haven't started changing without realizing it. Because that's the worst part, the thing that keeps me awake even now, 30 years later. The Kushtaka don't just take you. They change you slowly, turn you into one of them piece by piece until there's nothing human left. How do I know I'm still human? How do I know the transformation didn't start that night and hasn't been progressing ever since? I can't. I just have to trust that when I look in the mirror, I'm seeing the truth. But sometimes, in certain light, I think I see something different. A yellowish tint in my eyes, a sharpness to my teeth, a wrongness to my smile. Maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe the paranoia is just another scar from that night. Or maybe they got to me after all. Maybe I've been changing for 30 years and didn't notice. Maybe someday I'll look in the mirror and see an otter looking back. If that day comes, I hope I have the courage to end it before I hurt anyone, before I become what hunted me, before I start calling other people's names from the darkness, luring them to their transformation. The Alaska pipeline is still running. 800 miles of critical infrastructure, guarded by security contractors just like I was. They staff those pump stations with 8 people each, every winter, isolated and alone. If you're one of those people, if you're reading this and you work the pipeline or you're thinking about it, listen to me. Watch the others. Watch them close. Look for the little changes, the way someone moves, the way they speak, the color of their eyes. And if something's wrong, if someone's not quite themselves, don't wait. Don't try to rationalize it. Don't tell yourself it's cabin fever or isolation or imagination. Get out. Get out fast. Before it's too late. The Kushtaka are patient. They've been waiting for thousands of years. They'll wait thousands more. And they'll keep taking people, keep converting them, keep growing their numbers. The pipeline runs through their territory. We built it there without asking permission, without even knowing they existed. Now we pay the toll. Every winter, every station, one soul at a time. My name is Ryan Caldwell. I guarded the Alaska pipeline for 6 months in 1994. I went in with a crew of 8. 3 of us came out human. Something else guards that pipeline. Something old. Something hungry. Something that wears human faces and speaks with human voices but isn't human at all. If you're ever in Alaska, if you're ever in the wilderness, and someone you know starts acting different, starts moving wrong, starts looking at you with eyes that seem too bright, run. Run, and don't look back. Because once they have you, there's no coming back. No cure, no salvation. Just the slow transformation into something that will hunt others the way you were hunted. I've been Ryan Caldwell for 52 years. I hope I'm still Ryan Caldwell when I die, but some nights I'm not so sure, and that uncertainty is the worst horror of all.